I was nervous about that Christmas. We hadn't been close for a while. Will went off to university, but I clearly remember the Christmas that he and the family came home. I tried to keep in touch with friends. Of course, there was no email or that sort of thing back then. There's nothing like a real letter now, though. Doing Christmas by yourself takes a lot of work, but I like to keep busy. I wanted the house to look perfect. Will was going to bring a girlfriend, Sarah, and I wanted her to get the right impression. My family arrived just as the Christmas lunch was ready. It was perfect timing. Sarah was lovely, of course. She was a bit shy back then, I think. We talked about her university courses. She really had no reason to be nervous. Will and I hadn't spoken for months. I didn't know if he understood that when we disagreed, it was only because I cared so much about him. Did I tell you that Sharon and James split up for 3 years once? Will spent the time in America with her family. It was hard for me not seeing him. He was 10 and, like most boys, he wasn't interested in writing many letters. James is like my husband Robert. Kind at heart, but I wish he would apply himself. Will was a perfect gentleman. He doted on Sarah.
Thanks.
It filled me with pride and hope to see him that day. He was becoming the man I had hoped he would be. Sarah seemed like such a lovely match for him. He would have a happy, normal life. But that was the last time I saw her. The next summer, I went to visit Will at university. I always like to arrive on time. It's just polite. So I had left plenty of time for the drive down to see him. The university had a lovely mix of old and new buildings. After arriving early, I went to look at them. So many excited young people about the place, and such beautiful girls, all full of pep. I was also hoping I might see Sarah again. University wasn't a normal option for people in my time, and I never went. A solid education helps to improve a person. At first, I saw Will from a short distance before he saw me, and I couldn't make out what he was doing. Then I saw that he was holding hands with a man. And then, right out in front of everyone, they kissed. After everything I had tried to teach him, he went and did that. I couldn't believe it. I knew those views of his would get him in trouble. I left right away. What was I supposed to say to him then? Will hadn't seen me. I simply had no idea how I could be expected to act like everything would be okay for him. He was so young to be doing that kind of thing, with his whole life ahead. The university suddenly seemed like an ugly place to me. All that entitlement and sense of smugness. It was full of children, running around abusing the freedom that my generation worked hard to earn for them. I could barely stay civil with anyone there. He had made me furious. He was putting himself in danger after everything I had done for him. That sort of thing. It all just feels wrong to me. Sorry, but that's just the way I feel about this. I barely saw Will for the next few years. I couldn't bring myself to talk to him. I suppose it was silly of me. After university, he went travelling, seeing the world. I stayed at my house. I said that my husband Robert had died when Will was young, didn't I? It's sometimes hard not to live in the past when you have so much time to yourself. Probably never really understood how much I loved him when he was growing up. He's still that tiny, playful little boy in my head, I think. I had all these hopes for who Will would be when he was a grown man. But life goes on. I was in the garden. Things do have a habit of getting overgrown if you leave them too long. Will would occasionally send me a postcard from somewhere foreign on his travels. He wasn't in travel journalism back then. Even though I was angry, I still worried about him. I was going to answer it, but snagged my foot in the grass and twisted my ankle. It hurt like blazes, and I lay there feeling like a complete fool. I couldn't do a thing. The doorbell went again, but it hurt too much to move. I called out for help. I heard footsteps around the side of the house. Will had come to visit after coming back from travelling. After all I had done, after all I hadn't done, he was the one reaching out to me. He was the one who made the effort.
It'll be all right.
He looked after me anyway. I saw, inside the man he was, the same kind boy that I knew. I don't claim that I'll ever fully be able to approve of some things.
Let's get you inside.
But I had missed something. Distracted by just one part of him. I missed that he was the kind, strong, loving man I had always wanted him to be. The best sort of man. He was even kind to a fool like me. I'll never forget that.
Grandma grew up in different times. She loves me,